me, dude! Okay, gamers, let's watch this Titan Quest 2 gameplay demo with the developer commentary. A nice, smooth 40 minutes. Hopefully you guys got some snackies. Let's get into it.
Welcome everyone to a playthrough of the Titan Quest 2 Gamescom
Oh,
demo.
snap.
With the developers at Grimlore. My name's Balin Martin, I'm the lead systems designer.
And I'm Florian Jonas. Some of you may know me as the white t-shirt guy, but I'm actually the technical art director here at Grimlore Games.
2 roles in 1, excellent. So this is basically a live playthrough I'm actually playing right now, where we've got a lot to share. About the world of Titan Quest 2, which is obviously set in Greek mythology. We're keeping this whole theme of it being this bright and vibrant place. Somewhere where you'd want to take a holiday, but maybe you wouldn't want to take a holiday with all the monsters around.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's definitely...
Did Holiday... Holiday and Dead Man on Beach. Dead horse on beach. We didn't save the horse. What the beans.
Right. And the Gamescom demo actually starts a bit after the intro chapter, which also will be part of Early Access, where we will learn that, Nemesis is after us, and now we as a player who barely escaped her have now to find out, like, why is the goddess Nemesis after us, and who better to ask than the Moirai, the 3 fates of Greek mythology.
That's right. To get access to them, we will have to find a god. But first, it would help to find some kind of village, people that can guide us. So that's what we're doing right now. Here on the beach, there's a bunch of crabs. They're kind of bad from Titan Quest 1, but in some different ways. As well as the Ichthyians. Here's the first one.
What generally can be said about Titan Quest is that we have this handcrafted world, so we don't use any procedural level generation, at least for now. And this allows us to really take advantage of all these little areas that we can design to create memorable situations for the player. Like here, this ladder might be missed by a few people, but it actually leads to a little area where the player can face more Ichthyians and maybe also discovers something else.
Yeah, this is also pretty early in the game, so the encounters, we've deliberately made them quite easy, but we're still putting some rewards here, as well as some nice view with the waterfall over there.
One thing I wanted to say is, like, dude, I hope he uses the Frost Nova more, because that frozen animation is so sick.
And as far as exploration goes, more rewards, more exploration. But it's optional. You don't have to come here to the Altar of Benevolence. Could have just skipped this.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
We're trying to break up these combat pauses, like you saw before when Balin was running back from the first Ichthyians, to have these little scenic events like the waterfall.
That's right. So we've got a bunch of choice dialogues here that we're currently covering up with the camera, but that's fine. I've requested a staff here. And that brings us to our items, which we've got a lot of items and they're really cool. Not just in terms of visuals, but also in terms of what they do. So we've brought back, obviously, all the things about rarities that you can imagine. They basically come with a different number of affixes, but we also put the items into these families, which are essentially these visual groupings of the items, and then those will also bring a specific effect with them. The innate effect, the white effect, essentially, here on the overview.
So basically what he's talking about is, like, he's talking about, like, this here, the glancing and the glancing that comes with the Hipparch helm, right? Any Hipparch helm is going to have this heavy, this 4% glancing enemy projectiles. That's a family of items.
That's a little bit about how the
Titan Quest 1 has something kind of
created.
like that, so it's not super new.
Yeah, so as in other games, obviously we have a lot of weapon classes, but all these weapon classes like one-hand sword, shield, bow, all of these we have.
Did they introduce themselves? Yes. I'm bad with names. This is Nakamura. You guys know Nakamura. He streams as well. Lead systems designer, and then this is we know Flo from the Gamescom stuff. Yeah. So, and Nakamura is playing right now.
Divided in 3 families each, as Balin was mentioning already, and each of these families kind of represent or kind of support a playstyle a bit more. I mean, after all, they stay the same. So a two-hand axe, for example, will always be the slow, heavy-hitting weapon compared to a sword, let's say. But there are nuances that can be shifted with these families. So, for example, to stay with the
dude,
example
look how big this
axes,
bow is. Hold on.
We have heavy,
look how big this bow
light
is.
axes, and
I want to pause
the
it.
light axe might be maybe focusing more on a crit.
Dude, it's bigger than he is. Look at that thing. It's huge.
Build, why the heavy axes more support this really builds that just want to bring the damage to the enemies. And visually, we kind of differentiate between generated items and uniques or monster infrequents or faction items. And so especially in the early game or in combat situation, most of the time, if you're not facing unique creatures, you will mostly find these generated items. And for these families, we have multiple modular pieces that kind of get randomized together. So we want to create this random look where the player can find different looking weapons as often as possible, because we definitely know that loot is a big part of an AR.
So I just want to kind of point out what he's talking about. It's maybe hard to see here, and there's probably better examples later on. But the stabs here, this grip is slightly different than this grip. The heads are both the same though. The heads are both the same, and he's talking about there are modular pieces that will kind of get randomized. It's not exactly, if there's a list of what can roll, then it's not actually true random, but they mix and match, and the game generates that. So they will look different even within the same families. So
RPG, obviously, and so each weapon will consist at least of 2 parts, but many of more parts actually as well. And this is not only reflected in the 3D mesh. This is also you can see the item on the ground, you can see it in the icon, and you can see it on your player character. Because I think personally this is really something that stands out for us, and I think it's really rewarding just to see everything on your character displayed, and also in the inventory.
Yeah, here it is. Like on the ground, it looks exactly the same as it does in the inventory, as it does on the icon. And we've just seen some more complex fights here that really brought down my health. I didn't do a very good job of dodging, but you don't need to dodge if you can kite. So
now he's using the staff to attack.
Different
That's
varieties of playstyles that we want to allow. Yes, to dodge.
Wait, I want to see this.
Varieties.
So he's shooting a fireball. Does it say fire damage in his inventory? Hold on. Blazing. It says 23 fire damage. You guys see that? So it's exactly like in TQ1. The staff is going to have an elemental type, and here you can see it's fire.
As on the icon, and we've just seen some more complex.
What was the coin drop? Yeah, it was a coin drop. So spoilers. Later in the beach, there's 3 shrines, and you'll you have to find the 3 coins, and it's entirely possible to do this whole beach without finding the coins. You just skip it or whatever, but you put the 3 coins in, and some of the players have got a reward or whatever. But it's like a side quest, yeah.
Complex fights here that really brought down my health. I didn't do a very good job of dodging, but you don't need to dodge if you can kite. So there's many different varieties of playstyles that we want to allow. Yes, the dodge is a very central skill, but do you have to always use it? No, not really, no. Speaking of skills, we're about to level up, and when we do, we'll be talking about the masteries in a moment.
Yes.
But first, it seems these Ictian Guardians have been dropping some special items.
There's
and we'll
another
be picking
coin.
those up. There's a separate.
So he's probably about to talk about this, but we have a separate quest inventory. So all your quest items will go in this inventory. Oh, it's so good, guys! If you've ever played Ragnarok or Atlantis, where you're carrying around 3 billion quest items in your main inventory,
Stash here for quest items. So wonder what that could be for.
Yeah, and while you can maybe shed some light on what these coins actually do, the viewers who actually watched out may have seen a bug actually, because the staff that we mentioned actually doesn't look in game as it does on the icon. So props for you who found out. This is actually a bug. Sorry that it happened, but we're on to the items. Like, this is a very first iterations, and we have a fix already in an internal build. Yeah, just wanted to be sure.
So there's where the coins go.
This build is actually old now, so there is that. We still wanted to show you, for those of you who couldn't attend in person, and that's, I think, totally fine. It is far for some of you, after all. But we have leveled up, and it's time to talk a little bit about those masteries. So we still have the whole thing of combining 2 masteries to form your own class. We don't just give you a class. So it's classic Titan Quest stuff. We have active skills as well as passive skills. Of course, what you see here in terms of the size of the skill tree is drastically cut down for the Gamescom demo specifically, so that players with their limited time sessions over there could just get into it and figure out what's going on within the skills. So these are the modifiers that you can slot in, which will cost some capacity slots, which then you unlock with your active points. So if I want to modify my leap slam now to do more stuff, such as also do a stun, then I can assign this, but that will take 2 of these slots. However, if I take it out, I gain those back, and I can do this anytime. I could assign the rage gain, which is also a really nice modifier.
Sweet. So they talked about that previously. Respecking is also available. So if you don't want to take leap slam, I don't know if they talk about it, but you can reconfigure your skills, is what he just said, freely.
Well, we need to somehow make use of that rage, right? It's just a status effect. We've got this onslaught on the primary weapon attack, and I have some more points available over there.
So I'm in the way, but right now he's modifying this attack. That's the attack he's modifying. Just the left click attack. So this green stuff is what it belongs to. See how the primary attack, right? That's the staff icon. That's this one down here. That's what he's doing right now.
Put it on, and then it can work in tandem with our Frost Explosion, which essentially converts some of our damage to cold.
So he's explaining also what the modifier. We could just read this quickly. 50% of the damage is converted to cold damage per chilled stack on the target. Let's see. I lost my place. Sorry. A chance to freeze the first target hit for 0.8 seconds. Hitting a frozen enemy deals 2 cold damage in a 2-meter radius. So it changes it to cold damage. You add chill stacks. If it chills enough, they freeze. If they're frozen, then you do splash damage. But then it also adds +2 energy costs, and this is your auto attack. So,
and then causes some explosions when enemies get frozen, which we can very easily do with our Frost Nova as well. Ice Nova, sorry.
Yep.
And the onslaught, as we gain rage from every attack, as well as our leap slam, will be increasing our attack speed. So we're going to be attacking pretty quickly. We also have overwhelm, which is also a status effect gained by the primary attack. Up to 3 stacks can be had.
Hold on, I want to read this. On use, gain overwhelm while you have no overwhelm. This has a plus 100% base critical chance, plus 2 energy cost. On use, gain overwhelm. What does this mean? On use, how do you use it? I understand this bit, but how do you
Gained by the
we have classic Titan Quest tooltips. They don't mean anything.
primary attack. Up to 3 stacks can be had.
We'll see
and
when it gets back in.
You consume it essentially with your stomp. The stomp already stuns, so it's pretty useful, but overwhelm makes it do more damage and in a larger radius.
So it's yeah, no, I get it, but I don't think I would word it that way.
So let me quickly show you.
So, okay, so just for people that I might have confused, once he's modified his auto attack with that overwhelm, all you have to do is auto attack and you gain overwhelm. You gain overwhelm stacks. You'll see it. I think it's here. You'll see overwhelm stacks here.
We're going to build up the 3 stacks of
so
overwhelm
see,
here,
there's the
and
3
then
stacks.
consume it with a giant stomp.
Yep.
But once this cooldown is over, we'll be able to see how much smaller the regular one is.
So
There you go. Giant.
his stomp was larger because he had more overwhelm stacks.
Size difference.
Pretty sick.
And we also have some passive points, which we'll be wanting to spend here. Now, the passives don't quite have modifiers. They have what we call feats. And the way we have it set up now...
Guys, subscribe now. Titan Quest 2 has feet. If you like feet, subscribe now.
Now is that at level 3, you get 1 slot, and then at level 6, another slot. I just invested here so that we can get the ailment chance to synergize here with our application of chill.
So
from our regular synergize here.
So he's talking about this is an ailment chance. This is just a passive chance, remember? And he talked about 2 ailments previously, chilled, and what was the other one? It had to do with onslaught. So he has 2 ailments, and now this passive will increase his ailment chance 15% with weapon attacks.
With our application of chill from our regular weapon attack, we'll put that in, and that will be great overall. And then in storm, we can diverge a little bit and get a little bit of energy, because when I spam my ice shards, I run out of energy. Not great.
And I think, one thing that we could answer that I have been seeing floating around the community is the question if masteries actually have an effect on the modifiers. Do masteries bring additional modifiers?
This is a good question.
It's one way or the other.
So we don't do cross mastery modifiers really, but we do these cross mastery effects. So for example, rage could be consumed by something in storm in the future, or overwhelm. There's definitely examples for that. So you do have these natural synergies that are gonna go across.
Okay, so I just want to stop him. Sorry for pausing. People have asked, are the modifiers the same across all masteries? And the answer, which I think is great, is no. So we're gonna get more modifiers based on other masteries, right? There are possibilities for consumption of rage, and you get rage from onslaught. Onslaught's only in warfare, so rage is in there. So, anyways, but modifiers aren't global. They are tied to a mastery. I think that's good. So you should play different masteries to get different modifiers. Okay.
And you have modifiers inject themselves into the global abilities at the moment, such as the dodge, such as the regular weapon attack.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's a good point too.
The frost explosion, for example, is a good example for that. That actually, the frost explosion is a skill that takes advantage of the frozen state, especially of enemies, and this actually comes from the storm mastery, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
What happened here?
Yes, it just happens to naturally also synergize with what's in in Warfare, right? So you get a lot of double benefits. You get a lot of stick stacking. Definitely worth making use of that. And now that I've reached my high stack count on Rage, you can see how quick the attack speed has become. So it definitely is transformative in that sense.
So earlier we talked about this is Overwhelm stacks and this is Onslaught stacks. And he mentioned Onslaught. I don't think he showed the tooltip for Onslaught. Maybe he did. But the Onslaught stacks increase attack speed just like it does with all the modifiers in TQ1. So that's what he's describing there.
And why am I allowed to make use of Warfare skills, but with the staff? I'm kind of setting myself up to be a mage here, aren't I? Well, that is possible because of our attribute system.
The glorious attribute system
are basically this 3-directional triangle that you're looking at, but it becomes 6-directional once you start combining these. We've got Vigor in the middle as well, which impacts your health. But Might, what that does, it basically unlocks your support for heavy armor as well as heavy weapons that you would expect from a warrior. Knowledge is more the mage stuff, like robes as well as staves. Agility is more like the deck stuff that you'd be used to from other RPG games, so daggers and stuff like that. But then we have things like fitness. Fitness looks at a combination. We have a formula for this, for might, vigor, and agility basically get combined into fitness. Depending on how you spread this out, might and agility contribute more than vigor. But what this does is strike damage and pierce damage gets increased by fitness, and then resolve, the combination of might, vigor, and knowledge, that will give you fire and cold damage. And we have a lot of that right now as well as fitness. But
so can you guys see how the aggregates work? Fitness, cunning, and resolve, they are not, you cannot contribute directly to those attributes, but they are aggregated. Fitness combines might, vigor, and agility, as he said, and then that's how you get more fitness. So the more might and agility and vigor you have, the more fitness you have, so on and so forth. Same thing. And then the last he'll describe knowledge, vigor, and agility will be cunning.
Because we are an ice warrior, we kind of want to, a storm warrior, we kind of want to go into resolve here to play into cold damage. That's what we have a lot of right now. So we could go more into might and support our heavy armor now and still be a mage in terms of damage.
Yep.
But have the option to swap to pure physical. Flexibility, choice, choice, choice. That's the motto here.
Sick.
So if at some point we find a cool melee weapon, for example, we could...
I do want to actually back up. Here. I seriously doubt, we probably need confirmation, but I seriously doubt at level 5 you're going to have 86 might. I think these numbers are fluffed for demo. Like, these are really high in my opinion. You're probably not going to have 86 might. I could be completely wrong, but they seem high in my opinion. So
the option to swap to pure physical. Flexibility, choice, choice, choice. That's the motto here.
So if at some point we find a cool melee weapon, for example, we could switch out that staff, just for a melee weapon, and that would just work just like the staff in the build, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So another thing about the attributes, this is a demo, so they probably wanted as many modifiers available to people as possible. So I really think what they're talking about, choices, is really important. You have more choices to make if more things are available. You have less choices to make if less things are available, but the choices you make are more important if you have to unlock those things. So not having things unlocked based on the regular game, choosing a path, focusing on, let's say, knowledge first, get the knowledge modifiers, that is a choice, right? But if everything is unlocked for a demo, they can at least demonstrate it easier. So anyways,
we will at some point definitely swap for something. We do want to show off the stuff after all. the teleporters. It will come in very useful momentarily.
Guys, we talked about the teleporters already.
We have some issues with the ranged mechanics still. As you saw, some projectiles were missing. So what I'll do is, at the first opportunity, we will be swapping to something with melee. Maybe we get to show dual wield as the enemies drop stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, it's not always bright and pretty in Greece over here. We've got the caves. It's gonna be kind of chock full of spiders, as well as skellies. Stuff like that you can totally expect. We don't shy away from the ARPG staples, but we're definitely in a brighter spot than most of the competition.
Oh, dude, yeah, literally, even in the cave, I've talked about this ad nauseum. Sorry about that. But, dude, literally, even in the cave, it's darker, it's dankier, just like my memes. But, dude, there's still so much color. And I think that is so different than the death and decay of, Diablo and other ARPGs. And that is the aesthetic of Titan Quest, and I really enjoy it.
Maybe I can quickly say something about the ragdoll, because I saw that also in the comments. I think people were complaining a bit, rightfully so, in the trailer that there was a bit lack of ragdoll physics, although it was already enabled. We didn't make it in time for the trailer. We definitely amped it up for the Gamescom version though. And we also invested a bit more into that system. So the ragdoll impact is a pure visual thing, right? But if the death blow, which triggers the ragdoll, is now actually a bit adjustable. So each skill and also each weapon will have a different impact on how far the enemies will actually be flung. So if you kill someone,
so this is something I figured. The earlier gameplay footage that had kind of muted ragdoll, they have a ragdoll system. Those dials can be tweaked and changed and all that stuff, and that's what he's talking about. More ragdoll is definitely possible. So
someone be with a two-hand axe or a heavy.
Where's our HP mana bars? Not damn balls. What do you mean? They're right there. Here's the health, and then here's the mana.
Skill, you will definitely send the spiders flying. Although, just a death blow with a dagger, for example, will not have the same impact.
Yeah,
that's right. So we've got these exploding spiders, which you would have to basically avoid. They get a lot more interesting when they're combined with others. Obviously, one-on-one, not a huge threat. But we do want to go for this more complex fighting situation. Like here, if I let myself get caught by that web, I get slowed down, and I happen to take some of the explosion damage from the spider, but not the damage over time area. If I take both, my health would have been down to half or so. If there's multiple of those exploding spiders, I'd probably be dead. Now this is also a tougher encounter, however, here with the Revenant. It's able to cast these long line AoEs, and it also empowers the nearby skeletons. So you get frozen by this. I
know he's showing off combat. But just a quick note. I really enjoy. I know he could have drank pots like regular, pretty average players are gonna drink pots and dodge just about as much as he is, or use the tools. He is showing off and. He's showing off combat, and what I really like is he dodged the main attack, and these small minions actually did good damage. They actually did good damage, and I'm happy to see that.
I had to chug my potion in the last second, wasn't enough, and I'm toast. But guess what happens then? We go back all the way here, but we don't want to be, masochist or turn you into that. We do offer you this recovery portal to go back. You don't have to kill everything on the way. In fact, everything you did kill is still toast. So we'll be able to just head back to the recovery portal, and the fight is back. We have to solve this combat puzzle that we've set up for you. Shouldn't be a big deal if you pay attention, if you dodge these big abilities, and if you focus down the enemies, especially if you have kiting. This is a pretty easy encounter still, but we did want to show you what happens.
Yeah. So we definitely want to take you also as a player serious and create challenges that you just can't breeze through from time to time, at least. I mean, we definitely are a true RPG, I want to say, but we also
Name says this mechanic I can never use since I'm a hardcore player, and hardcore players no defeat.
want to have you fun right from the get-go and not only after the first playthrough, right? Still, we want to respect your time and definitely don't want to make it tedious, which is why we went for that death portal solution.
Yes, and if you die, you do lose a little bit of experience, so there is a penalty. We'll look into perhaps giving you an option to get that back, like it was in Titan Quest 1 with the gravestones.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something we're looking into still. Probably sometime during the early access we'll have our answer regarding that. Anyway, I leveled up again. What do we do next, Flo?
Sick.
I finished this first.
This arcane influx, we saw this from other gameplay, but like it literally just governs a bigger blue ball and more blue recovery. That's a kind of nice passive. That's the kind of stuff that I think about being a passive. So even if you're gonna stack pure might, you can still recover energy pretty easily. I think that's pretty sick.
So
that sounds good.
Energy.
Maybe we can show the frost charts.
Yeah,
ice charts.
That's probably a good idea. We can respec at least a little bit. Let's get the maximum energy or the regen. I think the regen.
The regen is good.
Yeah, that's probably gonna allow us to.
So now he's gonna juice out some shards, baby.
The current thing that's applied to ice shards, current modifier, is the torrent, which gives us additional projectiles. That's pretty much a no-brainer, right? Like, you probably want to go this first.
Yep.
But there's other options. There's this one that allows you to penetrate further enemies. However, to get to level 6 would require 4 points, and we have 3 right now. So I think we're going to start here with long shot, which just requires 1. And we'll just spend these points and wait for the 6th one, and then we'll swap them out later at the next level up.
Yeah, so you can already also see that the capacity costs may differ on the complexity of the modifier, so it's not always a given that you can slot every modifier that you want. There will definitely super expensive ones, which really will make you have to think about.
That's really good to hear, but I'm going to let him finish here in a second. But he's talking about what they have shown off is not the final list of modifiers. He's talking about some that might even cost like 10 capacity. Imagine something in a skill costing like 10 capacity. You literally will only have 1 modifier or 2 modifiers at max. I think that's cool. I think that's a really interesting design. Well, let's hear what he has to say.
What modifiers you actually slot in.
Yeah, they're a little bit better. If I shoot from a longer range, they're going to be stronger now. So that's, I think, very visible here. This should have been a more complex encounter, but we're just a little bit too strong for this. So again, the early parts of the game are a little bit easier as this area that we're showing off, but we'll shortly ramp up the difficulty a little bit. And to go back to the semi-open world approach, we do want to reward exploration. So this lady over there, not very happy to see us, because we should be over there. But she's pointing us out to this chest down there. There should be some useful loot. I'll make use of that. Now, because of the ranged issues, I'll be swapping back to spear and shield for the moment, and hopefully we get some decent drops. This is not scripted, so not everything will go well for me.
Maybe it's actually a good time, Balin, that we talk about the enemy classes, right?
100%.
We have this faction system, and you have seen plenty of the Ictins by now. But here we also start to introduce more classes to make the combat encounters a bit more complex and more interesting.
Oh, dude,
more classes to make the combat encounters a bit more complex.
The nipple hat returns, baby. Oh, it's so good, dude.
complex and more interesting. So
Oh, man.
what you have to think of factions is like a toolbox for our game designers to play with to create these encounters. So we have guards that tank damage and try to keep you away from the casters. Then the casters themselves that either deal high damage or assist. Also, we have the crowd and enemies like the
Dude, look at
troopers
this
here
big
and the
brute
that you can see here in the middle with the big club, where you definitely want to stay away from.
Dude.
As you can see, he really can dish out damage. And if you again, by himself, he might not be the biggest threat, but imagine you were stunned by one of the guards who have a shield and are surrounded maybe by a few others, then this really becomes an issue.
That's absolutely right. And, we've seen earlier the man catcher, the guy with the giant halberd, as well as his net that he can throw. So he can net you.
So,
and then the brute.
I do want to point out just one thing real quick. This brute has a couple of telegraphed skills, and he did some good damage. There are mages, Ichthian mages. I'm sure they're going to carry this through most factions, most monster types. There are mages that can perform two things, such as healing and boosting damage. It is entirely possible that a mage can spawn with this brute and boost the brute's damage. That to me sounds like really fun encounters. And I honestly, I can't wait. We definitely have a lot more crowd control and dodging capabilities in this game. So I want to see how they're going to design challenging encounters. And so far it seems pretty cool.
Imagine you were stunned by one of the guards who have a shield and are surrounded maybe by a few others, then this really becomes an issue.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. And, we've seen earlier the man catcher, the guy with the giant halberd, as well as his net that he can throw. So he can net you. And then the brute comes in. He slams on the ground. It's also a very powerful ability that you have to be wary of. And, we just really want to demand a little bit of attention, a little bit of creativity to solve these combat encounters. But again, early on, we're still simple. Later on, we will start mixing these more advanced creatures together. And actually, we'll get to show that later in the demo as well here. So I've got is this a dagger? That means we can have two. But I need to click on the shield to remove that. We have inventory sorting, of course, by the way. And we have a ton of stats for you to enjoy. This is just a basic overview. But we'll have a lot of
look at that,
and
dude. That's so good. The advance is sick.
These are still under construction, but these are at the base level all the stats that we'll provide for you, and we'll try to make sure that they're very clear. We're still working on the tooltips for them, but we'll make sure that it's easy to understand. Now, why did I go double daggers? So the reason it's interesting is because they have a lot of single target damage. So if I come across some tough enemies, I'll be able to just shank them and they'll very quickly disappear. But these basic weapons, these smaller weapons, they don't have a big area of effect. All the weapons have an area of effect in Titan Quest 2, but their shape and size differs. So it's a tiny cone with these. But you get this crazy attack speed, especially once your rage goes up with our current setup.
Nemesis. The god Glaukos has a temple near here.
I hope that means
if we're
that
lucky we maybe find later the Raging Bull who makes a reappearance. I read it somewhere in the community that they were afraid that we have this pre-placed loot everywhere. This is definitely not the case. It's just as some were already mentioning.
Guys, imagine reading the community posts. Imagine.
A setup for the demo build, so we can actually reward the players of the demo.
It's definitely not the case in the real game. So the demo, yes, we did want to show that one item, but otherwise everything is randomized. So you still have to farm long term. And we'll provide you great options to do so. Now, crafting isn't going to be present immediately in the beginning of the early access, but we do plan to add it. And we'll make the monsters drop their monster-specific loot rather than the human loot that you're currently going to see from them, especially animals like crabs or whatever.
Good to know. We figured they had it planned.
Oh, just because I saw you picking up gold, I saw that also been something that people were robbed the wrong way by. This is also something that we actually already have in the local build here, the auto pickup of gold. So we are also thinking of quality of life features, although it's early access.
He's talking about auto pickup, gold pickup, so sweet. At least they're considering
Tons
it,
of
and
these
it's
little
in.
side areas that you can explore and farm for XP. Like coming here to just go after the spiders. Once we add crafting, this is going to be a lot more meaningful than it is in now, this current example. But, you know, roaming around here, there's a lot of spiders. So if we do something crafting related with spiders, this is a decent place to go. And there will be teleporters nearby as well. There it is. Just walk past it. And I guess one more area that we can very briefly show is this little farm spot with the boars and the birds.
Yes.
Should be familiar from Titan Quest 1.
Yes, we
very
love boars.
hard to see the boars in the tall grass, so they pose a little bit of challenge. Might be surprising you every now and then. And of course, there's a big boy.
That's my babe.
I'll let him do his ability. Oh god, that was a mistake. There it is. Big stomp. You definitely want to walk out of that.
Yeah, I was told that actually boars played a very big role in Greek mythology, and I mean, by the size of it, I can definitely see how they pose a threat. If I see a 3-meter boar, then I would also try to use both my masteries, running and hiding.
Of course, we've got side quests as well. Oh, that's a nice load of items. We even have a scythe here somewhere. So we have two-handed items, of course,
Yes.
for warrior types.
Yeah,
but
check
scythes
this out.
are actually light two-handed items. So a mage...
So this is what he was talking about earlier. Remember the families? This is a light two-hander. There's also heavy two-handers. Not sure what the light implicit is. I bet you it's this 10% increased attack speed. Yeah. So yeah, we'll let him talk. But yeah,
type could technically wear this if it was the right type. Now this is not really lending itself to a mage, but if it had let's say a fire version of that or a cold version of that, that could totally happen. We'd also be making sure to cover it on the item, such as with this one, where you know the fire staff is on fire. Well, we have that for the physical weapons as well.
I think one thing I quickly want to note here is we also have like these damage conversions, obviously, and we also reflect that on the projectiles and the weapons. So it's not only like if you have like this one skill that kind of converts your damage into frost damage, then you will also be shooting frost projectiles and not only fire projectiles that deal frost damage technically. So we really want to show as much of the gameplay systems on the player facing side.
Yes, those.
so that was another thing, by the way. Hold on, I want to bring this up. People have noticed the color difference of the rarities. So if we look at this blog post here, hold on. Which one is it? 7? They didn't confirm it in the 7th blog post, but we can at least look at this together. We have common, only basic properties, magic, rare, and then infrequent. So the magic ones are blue, and then the rare are the yellow ones. So he just picked up
Those kinds of weapons are not
blue,
particularly going to be
and that's a
common, by the
magic.
way. So we know, like a sword on fire, obviously, is a little special, but it's not going to be a unique.
There's Raging Bull.
Unlike that one, there's the Raging Bull. We placed this here on purpose with a very high chance to spawn.
Yeah, check this thing out. Increase weapon damage per rage stack by 4%. So if you have stacks of rage, Each stack gets 4% damage increase. 11% increased movement speed. Movement speed on a weapon is sick, man. That's so cool. Then they've got the health regen coming back. And then it also has armor. Strike armor, we think, is very, very much like Titan Quest 1's physical resist. Or at least this is physical armor. The resist and the armor is going to probably work slightly different, but strike is comparable to physical damage.
Just so that we can show it off, and I'm just going to make sure I don't have any extra points to spend, but I don't right now, so that's great,
dude. And also look at the weapon, dude. Look at that thing. It's so good, man. It's such a good model. It's so good.
What the Raging Bolt does is it makes your rage stacks essentially better, giving you more weapon damage for them. So with epic and legendary items, we'll be handcrafting the precise effects that the weapon will wield. It's not really randomized at this point, but depending on where you find them, they will have a different level to them, which is true of every item, by the way, but also for these unique items.
So he's probably going to get into level scaling and world scaling. This is a level 7 item. Let's see what he has to say about how it scales.
That we handcraft rather than the random affixes that you get from the other stuff. So, why is that important? It's important because you will want to get loot that is close to your level. Basically, ensure that you get to grow like that as a character, that you get to progress. And it will give you ways to change the difficulty of the world as well through rituals.
Sweet.
You'll either be able to just increase them flat out in the entire world, or you'll be able to raise the minimum to your own level as well, which is going to be great to go back to older areas to farm there, find items that are specific to the Ichthyians, but eventually you'll be getting out of the area where the Ichthyians are. So one day you will not have access to the Ichthyian stuff, and that's why the big encounters are hard. Yes, so all these tougher, higher tier enemies working together using their abilities
that's pretty sick.
Definitely commanding some attention, and I'm talking at the same time now. Not the easiest thing.
Maybe I can do some talking then.
Yes.
So as Baldur mentioned, this is actually a side quest here. So the guy outside of the cave was crying for help because his sister was kidnapped by Ichthyians, and they are held in this cave. This is all content that could have been missed if you don't pay attention to the world. I mean, not everybody will want to do all the exploration, but those who are interested in that, we will also cater for. And we actually have also a small riddle here in this cave. So not only
these are by the way, these are the mages that I was talking about. When they just introduced the Ichthyians in that post, they talked about how they can heal or channel damage boosts. So he's about to telegraph something, which is what that eyeball is for. So let's see what he does.
Can we free the villagers that were kidnapped?
Now look, I don't actually know. Look, I'm sorry. Let's watch this.
Cave,
I don't actually know if this is healing, but he's targeting this mob. So this mob is getting the benefit that he's putting out. And like I mentioned earlier, when you come into a pack that has a brute and a mage, if the mage boosts the brute, just look out,
So. Only can we free the villagers that were kidnapped, but we can also
it looks like healing. It looks like he was healing
extra
him.
Layer. If we actually, again, take a look at the world and are on the lookout for little things that stand out. Although I have to say, like, these riddles aren't. Oh, nice. Okay. These riddles aren't super demanding, so it's
you got
no
it
point
infrequent,
adventure,
boys.
Right?
Hold on, you guys want to see the tooltip? Here, let's look at this. Rock cleaver of energy, crackling of energy. It's an infrequent item. So I'm assuming that the infrequent bit is extra poison resistance, maybe. it has 10 knowledge on it. Look at this. Oops, I went off the screen. Look at this. 4 lightning damage, 14 energy, 4 poison damage, 10 knowledge. Sick. Nice attack speed, some cold and poison damage, extra poison resists. Look at the 3 damage types already on it. Poison damage, strike damage, pierce damage. That added together is your damage aggregate, right? That's just called damage. So that is something we'll have to get used to doing. Is this will tally up the item's damage, and then you can see the breakdown. Now, strangely, it doesn't add in the 4 lightning damage and the 4 poison damage, right? So wouldn't it be 28 points of damage? So I would like to see a tooltip option to where it says, maybe in parentheses, the affixes damage. We'll have to beg for that stuff. I know that's really nerdy stuff, but that is helpful. And if we're going to get more advanced systems, we need more advanced tooltips. Anyways.
Super demanding, so it's no point-and-click adventure, right? It's most of the time just finding the odd one or, clicking something in a specific order.
Yes, I did want to stop real quick to talk about that encounter that we just had. So the enchanter was empowering our man-catcher, making him stronger overall, faster as well. And he used his ability to snare on me, which also made him faster and stronger. So that inherently synergizes with itself with just 2 characters getting added to an encounter. And the obvious counter to this is to somehow stun or freeze or whatever, do some status effect on the mage, right? So that it can no longer do the boosting and the healing. Taking that out is quick enough, but then still you get chased by the man-catcher. And then I was skirting around it, making sure to dodge every single attack by just sidestepping. We really want to make sure that the combat is smooth and responsive like that, so that you can really express your skill if you wish. But most of the time, you won't have to do that. But with a very flimsy character that dies easily, a glass cannon, you would probably want to consider it. Now, we've also picked up this monster infrequent item, the Ichthian sword, which has built-in poison damage in the base damage already. So this is what we mean actually when it comes to... let me just equip that. Yeah, you can visibly see that this is in fact a poison sword. It does poison damage.
Dude, that model is awesome.
Base, not just through affixes, but affixes can also add further to it. Also, in its innate properties, it has 4 cold and poison damage and gives you some poison resistance. So definitely a pretty decent monster infrequent. If I had 2 of them and if I had some cunning, I would probably be wielding this. But for now, I think our build is best for the Raging Bull. So that's how we'll continue.
Very nice.
The horrible fishmen
Very nice.
tending like sheep. Can you imagine?
We also want to add some character to our NPCs, of course. This is part of the puzzle, but what I'm doing ain't it. We gotta find out what it actually wants from us.
Right, and since you mentioned monster infrequents, obviously we are aware of the Titan Quest 1. You loot what you can see what you can get what you see system. But that's something that we want to get in some form back. But currently we only do that by loot lists that are fitting to the enemy. We are looking throughout early access into ways to bring that back though.
I think I'm about to level up here. There we go.
That's an interesting answer. They're aware. People love the TQ1 system of you can see what the monsters are wearing and they will drop what they're wearing. They want to bring some of that back, but also it sounds like they are Ichthian stuff is only dropping from Ichthians instead of like a generic set of gear, and then you have a chance for Ichthian stuff, right? So I think we'll probably get best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Level up before the big encounter. So we were talking about how we're going to use ice shards. Let's do it. Projectile penetration, so it goes through multiple enemies. And I still have 2 more. We can put this back, actually. We can keep the long shot. All right, this is pretty nice. And then we could get even more energy and regeneration as well. Which, by the way, you can also see if you hover over this globe.
Okay, so that tooltip's really nice.
Generation as well.
Let me show you.
Which, by the way, you can also see if...
This tooltip is nice. This is really nice. We want numbers on bar. I think they're aware of that. Numbers on bar, both places.
If you hover over
then
this
I'm happy,
globe,
boy.
We have 34 energy regen. That's a lot. Pretty good stuff.
And as you can saw before, Barland was lighting up the brazier up north. So this is 1, 2, 3 puzzle where you just need to, click
Spoilers,
the
guys.
increasing number
Spoilers.
of braziers.
So here we got some brutes.
Yeah, we're not gonna do brain-breaking puzzles, but we do want to reward your efforts for exploration and looking around caves and stuff like that. It's not
There you
about
can see the
complexity,
shards are
it's
piercing.
about just seeing what's out there.
Exactly. And I think this goes really well with the handcrafted world. So I think the level and content designers really did a great job in that regard.
Hell yeah.
I'm probably not gonna pick those up. Our inventory is about to be full. Of course, there will be vendors, not in this demo, but we are making them. We have them working locally.
You can't hide in here. This is my
Yeah, so we just met that guy, and he's apparently hiding in this cave and hopes that the Ictians won't fight him.
Close the door on the way out.
Sorry,
Let's
it's
see.
his spot. We really shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see
If
if we
it's
get
that
some
cozy.
good loot for the final fight here in the cave. We're not really gonna need the movement speed, so I think I'll take this cast speed stuff.
Nice.
It's gonna come in useful for our ice shards. What else do we have? This gives us some cold
6%
damage. I
cold
guess we can
damage.
go
Hell
for
yeah.
that.
Hell yeah. I seen it.
Gonna be nice with the ice shards. And there's a surprise bunch of skellies. And that is actually not a boss over there. The skeleton warlock is what we call a leader. So what that means is he's the top echelon within the skeleton faction. And I just got frozen by these guys dealing cold damage.
It's like a hero monster,
That's
basically.
also attributed to the Frost Revenant. But that's not the only guy with the aura here. Actually, the Warlock has an aura and gives these guys life leeching damage. So definitely gotta take out the light guys first, then the support. And then go after the big man himself. Again, trying to dodge these individual abilities so that we don't get blasted into smithereens.
Yes.
Might be easier to do with our ranged attacks.
I can't unhear it, too. I was just leaving it go.
He's immune, by the way, to freezing and all that. That's why I didn't really use that here. Yeah, as you can see, it's a back and forth, slower but more engaging fight than you might be used to from other ARPGs. And our bosses will follow some of the same principles, but the leader's job is to work together with a core faction like the Skeletons. We will have several factions as well, like the Ictians that you've seen. We will have bandits that you have not seen. We'll have
Sweet.
wildlife that you have seen, but they aren't working quite like the others. They're more scattered and just doing their own thing. We will have bosses, however, and the bosses will be those 1v1 encounters that are gonna take a longer time. Definitely set up for the duel experience and with more complex mechanics and skills.
Yeah, and for the initial early access, we planned with 3 bosses, and I definitely wanted to clear something up. When we are talking about the initial early access, then this is the first launch version that we will bring out in winter. We will follow up this with updates that also extend the content. So when we are saying we're planning with around about 12 hours for a completionist playthrough, means the 12 hours for the initial release. This will be extended by the follow-up updates, which will bring new chapters, new masteries, more content, more weapons, more loot, more of everything.
That's right, and that's all included in your purchase. So there's plenty to still create. We are actually planning and building those new chapters as we speak. And there will be more enemies, there will be more loot, there will be more masteries as well. At least 3 masteries in this very initial drop. And then we'll do even more.
So I think they're about to end, but just to recap, purchased early access this winter, approximately 3 bosses, approximately 12 hours, approximately 3 masteries, with patches to support that early access phase. Then it sounds like they're obviously building the rest of the game as you go, and a larger content patch, a larger content drop will come in the future. But during that early access period, they will patch in certain things and continue building that way,
and expand on what is there.
Exactly. And so I want to say that we have a great start, a good, especially toolbox. Like, it's always hard in game development to get all the systems in place so you can actually start building the world, because that needs a lot of fine tuning, and the systems need to work together and everything. And I think we are in a very good state regarding that. And as Balin said, we are already working on the updates. There is still room though, so we definitely want to hear your feedback. And as you may have noticed, we definitely follow the discussion, definitely are talking about the feedback we are reading, and bring that to the team as well. So I think this is really what we would love to get from the early access as well, to hear your opinion, and so you are also able to shape the development.
Sweet.
To some degree.
Indeed. And look, it's night. We have a day-night system.
Right. Awesome.
So with
we
that,
got
I
to
guess
show it up.
we've told you everything we have to say for now, but there will be more, so stay tuned. There will be blog posts and all that kind of stuff. So we'll wish you a good night with that.
Awesome. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sick. I want it. Let me purchase. Let me buy and play. Yo, GG boys. Early access this winter. 12 sick hours, 3 bosses, 3 masteries. Paul again, brothers. All right, see you in the next one, boys.